Can I just say, this is what I tried saying earlier, and you guys couldn't hear me. I am so tired that I am physically ill. Like I am nauseous, and my stomach hurts, like in painful ways.
Oh.
How do you guys stay up late? Like I'm such an old lady.
Use it for your art.
I'm gonna write a vomit scene then. Use it for art. Dig down deep. All right, welcome to the Postcast.
Postcast.
It is 12:45 a.m. This is like, whose idea was this?
Yours.
It really was, which is
I
hilarious.
know. I know.
I'm the bed person.
All right, Tina, you're going to have to be really loud because I can barely hear you. But all right. Quiet, but we can hear you. We'll listen carefully.
Okay.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. That's really strange.
Maybe she's got a glow plug in her computer.
What's a glow plug?
In a diesel engine. It's got to warm up. I don't think they have many more, but they have to warm up before the engine will actually start.
You are this like wealth of information, Rhonda, but like
it's all useless.
One moment you're talking about like you can write a story about a high schooler that's on a volleyball team and it's just so genuine, and the next thing you're talking about diesel engines, and I'm like, I only know 1918 Lansing. That's it. Like that's all I know.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Cliff Clavin from Cheers?
Oh yes. I know. Yes, that's me. I'm so proud.
You're
okay.
Than him.
Aw. I have to say, random.org says Tina, Rhonda, Jamie, Jen. That's the order.
At least you're not last, Jamie. Cheater. I'm eating the candy. All
okay,
right.
so Tina's first. Like, I don't know what we can do to amplify her. Maybe in post, we can bump her volume up a little bit. If you send me the file, Jen.
Well, this is straight into YouTube, so it's not getting edited.
Well, I'll just try to talk really loud.
Can you try unplugging your headphones again? Let's see if we can do that.
Okay.
That's much better.
Okay. So now my hair's messed up on live. Okay.
You look beautiful.
Such a pretty necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I don't usually wear jewelry because it turns me green. So I found this one and it had a leather thing instead of a chain. So I can wear it.
That's lovely.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to read this. I don't know.
Now let's remind our Patreon supporters that we just wrote these. Normally on Patreon, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have put this candy in my mouth. Normally it's caramel too.
Your stomach is going to feel a lot better now.
I know, right?
I'll explain it to them.
Normally
on our postcast, we have edited and polished our pieces before we submit them for critique. But today at midnight, we had our first writing sprint for 25 minutes. And these are the pieces that we wrote during that writing sprint. So they're raw, completely unedited, probably full of things we're going to take out later. So,
should we share with them some of our hand signs when we're reading unedited things? I think there's only one.
Go ahead.
When you see this, it's because I put a bunch of X's because I don't know what I'm going to put there, but I know there's something going there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to
do this.
Oh yeah, I forgot what that means.
That's our applause.
Oh,
so we don't interrupt.
I forgot about the applause.
I did too. So when someone's reading, if we like it, we just go like this without interrupting them. With those eyes, those crazy eyes I just made. All right, Tina Bambina, I'm so excited.
Should I tell them the premise of my book or just read?
Yes, because this is the most exciting part, is because we helped you come up with this premise. We forced you into it.
Right. They forced me into writing this project. It is The plot is about a woman who is escaping, and she's running off to Alaska. And that's all I'm going to tell you right now.
Is your mindset that you wrote today is going to be like chapter 1, or did you start in some random spot in the book?
Yes, this is the opening scene.
Gotcha. Exciting. All right.
Okay. Rory took 3 white capsules out of her sweater pocket and placed them on the counter. She opened a fresh long neck and pulled the first capsule apart, letting the powder inside fall into the beer before placing the 2 halves back in her pocket. She did the same with the second capsule. She picked up the third and hesitated. Seth was already well on his way to being drunk. The third may be too much. She put it in her pocket, then picked up the bottle and swirled it around till there was no sign of the powder in the bottom. She grabbed 2 other bottles from the fridge and headed through the living room and down the short flight of stairs into the rec room. Seth sat in the middle of the couch with his buddies on either side of him. They all shouted and threw their arms in the air in exasperation at something their team had done on the television. "I brought you guys some fresh beers," Rory said sweetly, handing the special bottle to Seth and the other 2 to his buddies. She picked up their empties from the coffee table. She'd been sure to keep the bowls of salty snacks filled all afternoon, and she saw they were about half empty now. "Can I get you guys anything else?" "Thanks, babe. You're the best. I think we're okay." He looked at his buddies, who both nodded and smiled at Rory. Chuck, a large muscular guy wearing a team sweatshirt that didn't quite reach his waist, lifted his beer to her in a silent salute, exposing even more of his midriff. Rick tilted his bottle back, chugging his beer down in long gulps. "I'll have another," he said, belching. Seth punched him on the arm. "Manners! There's a lady present." You're just jealous because you're such a lightweight you can't keep up with me," needled Rick with a laugh. To prove him wrong, Seth tilted his long neck back, chugging down the entire bottle in almost one breath, then slamming it down on the coffee table for emphasis. "Keep 'em coming, babe," he said to Rory, making a motion with his hand to move her along. Rory turned and headed back up the stairs, trying to hide the elation she felt. Her plan was coming along perfectly. Bella was in the living room watching Moana on the big screen TV, dancing and twirling so that her dress would float out around her. "Happiness is where you are." I can't sing. The little girl sang out with the music. "As soon as Moana is over, it's bedtime," Rory reminded her. Bella made a sad face at her, but then turned back to her movie when the next stanza began. After delivering another round of beers to the guys and filling the peanuts, pretzels, and chips, Rory headed back upstairs and pulled the bottle of Benadryl out of her pocket. "Mama's going to give you allergy medicine," she told Bella, pulling the pink liquid up into a syringe. "Is it going to be a bad allergy day tomorrow?" asked the little girl. "Yes, dear, and I want you to be able to play outside." Rory put the usual dose in the syringe, then drew up a little more. "Here you go. Good girl," she said as Bella sucked down the liquid, making a face. "I'll get you some milk and cookies to make the yucky taste go away. How does that sound?" she asked. "Yes, please," said Bella, jumping onto the couch on her knees and bouncing up and down in anticipation. Before long, the game was over and the guys were saying their goodbyes. Rory wondered if they were too drunk to drive, but kept the thoughts to herself. No sense rocking the boat. Seth staggered into the living room, scratching his stomach and taking the last pull from another beer. "I'm beat," he said. "Think I'm going to hit the sack. Can't stop yawning." He let out a loud yawn as if to prove what he was saying. "You want me to take her up?" He nodded toward Bella, sound asleep on the couch, her blanket clutched in her little hands. The final credits of the movie were rolling on the TV. "I can get her," Rory said.
Wow.
Well, you have to come back for the next episode.
Oh, I was okay with her drugging him.
Probably to keep her quiet if she's going to be smuggling her out of there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Okay. I'll give you that. That's fine.
That's my guess.
That was excellent.
Yeah, really good.
Really good, Tina. Lots of good detail.
Totally engrossed.
You know what I really like about it, though, is all right. So I know the premise, though I know you're going to put your own spin on it. But had I not known the premise, I probably wouldn't know who's the bad guy in this. Like,
Right.
I'm not really liking Rory right now because I don't know anything. Like, you've not shown him to be abusive or a bad guy or anything. And I just want you to know, I totally love that. I love that you like have left the reader kind of like not knowing, like just be like, what's going on? So that is well done. Love it.
That's an
really
excellent
good
book.
I did that on purpose.
She says as she rolls her eyes. No, it was good. Awesome.
Can we talk about that just before we move on? Because here's the thing. The reason I asked Tina, did she just start kind of somewhere randomly in the middle, is because I was kind of tempted to do that, because the beginning can be so hard. Like, because you feel this pressure to make it be interesting and captivating and blah, 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 blah. And so, like, for me, the temptation would be to start somewhere random in the middle of the book, pick a scene and write that, because coming up with something interesting to happen to people, if your book doesn't lend itself to something interesting happening, right? If it's just, well, you know, you got to set up the premise of the book and blah, blah, blah. Do you have to start with something awesome happening? But I guess in Nano, you just write whatever and go back and fix. But I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Well, I've been known to not finish books. I mean, I'll set them down in the first chapter if I'm bored or if I'm not interested. So I think for me as a reader, it's important to be hooked in the first couple pages.
Yeah, I would hope that we would, because we've been, even though we haven't started writing, we've been thinking about our novels. And Jamie, I know that you haven't like done this like I have done, but I know you've been churning in your mind over and over again these characters and what's going to happen in this story that you're doing as well. So I would hope that we've already thought about like something really good to start off with, just to have a hook. So, but to answer your question, no, you don't have to start there. I did not start there, but because I had already written my first chapter. So I'm a little bit farther into mine. But like I said the other day when we were doing a little practice, one of these to promote the live broadcast, like sometimes I just, when I, oh no, this was just when we did a writing exercise ourselves. Sometimes I just write kissing scenes. Like if I'm not feeling anything and I don't know where to go, I just start writing about kissing, and I'll try to fit it in sometimes. Sometimes it won't work. Sometimes, but that just makes me happy and gets me words. So
we're so different because I write murder scenes.
Oh, that's awesome. Because that makes you happy, Tina.
Yeah, I imagine there's somebody I know, you know. I won't mention any names ever, but you know those T-shirts that say "Be careful, or I'll kill you off" in my novel.
Yeah, I want one of those.
Yes.
Even though I don't really kill anybody else, I do, I guess. So that's hilarious.
Yeah, but everybody's all sad about it when your people die. It's never like, finally.
Who will I be killing this time?
All right, Rhonda, you have to be next because Randy Meiser said that you were next.
Okay, well, this is my first scene, so we'll see what you think about it. Okay. Why didn't I go see Sheila for that haircut? She sighed, stretching out the hair on her forehead to demonstrate how long her bangs were before twisting it into a pin curl. I told myself I'd be sorry when I canceled it so I could meet with old lady Winston. You keep your schedule too full, Hazel. Oops, wrong name. Supposed to be Mary. You keep your schedule too full, Mary said. I wish you would schedule some leisure time for yourself. She pulled her calendar out of her overfull purse. Here, hand me that pen and I'll do it for you. The corner of her mouth turned up. You like surprises, right? Mary did not hand the requested pen to her friend, but instead playfully punched her shoulder. Now, I do not like surprises, she laughed, but then she got serious. Would you just call him and tell him I'm sick? Her friend's mouth fell open as she shook her head. No. Maybe I've got a headache. No, a tooth fell out. No, you're going on this date and you two are going to hit it off and you're going to get married and have 12 children. And when you finally have your first grandchild in your arms, you're going to thank me. She reclined on Mary's bed to better inspect her manicure. It's a long time to wait for thank you, but it'll be worth it. She huffed on her fingertips and polished them on her sweater. Mary's shoulders slumped as she sunk into her chair. I don't want to go, she said barely above a whisper. I'm scared. What if I fall for him and he turns out just like Biff? She bit her lip. Hazel sat up and reached for her friend. Honey, I didn't realize you were serious. You'll have a great time, and if you don't, then you just won't go out with him again. And that's all I got.
That's awesome. All right, so let me ask a question. You said pin curl. Is this a historical?
Yes, this is the novella that's going to take place in about approximately 1958. And we're going to learn some backstory of the town that's the setting for Nettie's stories.
I love it. Love it, love it.
Okay, so
What a great
Jamie.
way to start a romance with like the first date.
Well, see, that's what I thought, because you're supposed to start the story where the story starts. So I thought, well, this is the beginning of her new attitude, and she's stepping out on a limb and going on a date. So I figured that would be it. So, Jamie, was that exciting enough for a first scene? Or, there are no explosions, no murders, no poisons, no.
Right, yeah, but there's like a dilemma, and then you want to know what choice is she going to make.
And we all laughed.
Mhm.
So you pulled an emotion out of us. So like we weren't expecting that. So you did good there.
Well, I was afraid. Okay, these women have like 4 names between them, not on purpose, but I just I was trying to edit it before we started to put the correct name in, and I put it in for the wrong girl on some of them. So I don't know if you're able to follow along as well as you should have, but
Yeah, I could follow it.
Yeah.
okay.
And I want to know what happens on the date. So you've got me hooked.
Okay, well, you'll find out.
Yay.
Well, great job.
Good job.
Okay, so now it has to be my turn. And no, I did not think of some kind of a witty, clever beginning. And here's the thing, my character is just kind of living her life when the whole world kind of falls apart. So really, the whole first part of my book is kind of setting up her life and how she lives and stuff, which is kind of why I asked, because I really didn't think about my beginning until I realized, oh, I have to like write. And so like, I guess I should write the beginning. And so whatever, here's what came out for Nano. It'll stay or it won't. Okay. Brianna sliced through the tough skin of the pineapple. She smiled to see the flesh was golden and juicy beneath. Bob always enjoyed pineapple with lunch, and she paid a premium to get these from the fellow at the farmer's market. Straight off the tree, he told her, though it was ridiculous for him to think she'd believe that. This was central Kentucky, after all, not Aruba or wherever pineapples grew. Brianna tried to recall if she ever learned the origin of pineapple as she worked to remove the remainder of the skin from the fruit. Bob slammed through the back door and she jumped. The knife slipped off a hard nub of skin and nicked Brianna's thumb. She put it to her mouth. Cut yourself? Bob asked as he passed through the kitchen on the way to the tiny powder room. Brianna did not bother to answer. She pulled her thumb from her mouth and watched as more crimson liquid oozed up from the wound. It wasn't deep, merely a nick. Brianna heard the water running. Bob was a compulsive hand washer. Don't get blood on that pineapple, Bob called, loud enough for her to hear him over the running water, but Brianna was already behind him, waiting to get into the bathroom and put a Band-Aid on her wound. He turned to exit the tiny room and threw his hands in the air. Do you always have to be right on top of me? And would it kill you to pay attention to the cameras every once in a while? Brianna glanced over to the wall of monitors and recognized immediately the cause for Bob's ire. Pastor Remington's van was at the gate. He and his wife were dropping Nana off after Sunday service. They were early, and Brianna wondered what had happened to make them come straight back after the service instead of stopping in town to have a bite to eat afterward. Bob leaned over a microphone and depressed the button, speaking into it. Sorry, Reverend, on my way. He slammed out the back door. Brianna wondered if she would be able to guess when Bob would also appear on the monitor, having taken the green four-wheeler down to the front drive to undo the latch on the gate entrance and swing it open, allowing the Reverend access to her house. About the time I finished slicing this section, she guessed, and she glanced up when she'd finished. Bob appeared in the corner of the monitor, just as she predicted. She smiled a self-satisfied smile and arranged the slices of fruit neatly on the tray. Then she frowned, wondering how she was going to conceal the tray of expensive fruit. Bob could put away pineapple. In fact, Brianna knew he was likely to eat less at supper in order to make room for this, his favorite fruit. Surely, if she were to offer some to the Reverend and his wife, there would not be enough to have for lunch. I got lunch and supper screwed up in here. She opened the refrigerator, moved some things around, but knew the exercise was pointless. There was simply no way a large platter was going to fit in there. She checked the monitor and panic swept over her. They were at the top of the drive. Nana was riding the wheelchair lift as Mrs. Remington stood nearby, holding Nana's purse and Bible case in one hand, her own handmade quilted bag slung over her shoulder. Inspiration struck, and Brianna carried the platter of fruit around the corner and into the laundry room, where she set it on top of the dryer. The others were just entering through the back door when she returned to the kitchen. Well, I don't know about that, Pastor Remington, Bob was saying. You know, this time of year, things get pretty busy for me, holidays coming up. You know, people doing a lot of online shopping. Even the good Lord took one day a week to rest, the pastor replied. He gave a little grunt as he pushed the back wheels of Nana's wheelchair should be, over the threshold. There you are, dear, he said. Thank you so kindly, Jim, Nana said. I do appreciate you going out of your way each week to bring me to service, when my nephew here could bring me just as easy. Now, Nana, Bob said, let's save our quarrel for after lunch. Reverend, would you and the missus like to stay? We've got some golden sweet pineapple to share if you're willing to have some. Brianna's stomach flipped. What was Bob doing? Why was he inviting Pastor Remington, a man he hated, to share the pineapple? And then I have a line that I'm erasing. So that's all I got.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll tell you that I was hooked the first mention of the camera.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if these people are living on a compound
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a Big Brother type situation, but I need to find that out.
Okay, good.
I love how I already feel like I know Brianna, or like that she's me, because I would totally stash away something in the laundry room if I don't want someone to see it. And there's never any room in my refrigerator. Like this character speaks to me already, and I love that. You're very, very good with characters. Always have.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. I'm really glad that that worked. All right.
Tina, you're muted. I saw your lips moving, but there we go.
Yeah, I thought maybe the echo was because I didn't have headphones on, so I muted myself, but apparently it wasn't it. So, yeah, I really love that, and she told me a little bit about the premise, so I already know like whether it's a compound or whatever it is. So. But I won't say. I'll leave that for you to find out, Rhonda.
Well, what would you like? I have plenty to bribe with.
We'll talk later.
Do you like stickers?
I do, but I can't have that anymore.
No, stickers.
Stickers
Oh,
for your
stickers.
boot job.
I thought you said
They're
stickers.
low carb stickers.
Yeah.
I really want a Snickers. That's what I want.
Awesome. All right, sweet.
All right, Jim, what'd you come up with?
Okay. So this is not the opening chapter, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background. In the opening chapter, my main character, Sarah, throws herself at her professor. This is 1924. She throws herself at her professor at Bible college because she wants to get kicked out. Her parents have forced her to go to Bible college, and she doesn't want to be there. So in her mind, this is the fastest way to get home. And so she throws herself at the professor, not realizing that her actions are also going to get him fired. So this scene is Sarah coming home. I have a little bit, I started writing where she's still at college that I don't know if I'm going to use or not. And then I'll tell you when I skip ahead. So this is just kind of, okay. Sarah stood on the train. Okay, I'm not using that sentence. Okay. They aren't coming. What do you mean they aren't coming? They called the dean's office with instructions to place you on a train home. Sarah blinked several times. She had imagined over and over how this scene would play out, usually with her father storming onto campus, his formidable stature striding across the courtyard, yelling with all his might at her. She'd expected to be reprimanded. She had expected to be humiliated. What she hadn't expected was to be summoned. Isn't it better this way? Marilyn asked. Yes, of course, Sarah said. Much better than the big scene I was expecting. I'm happy it worked out for you. Sarah knew she should be happy too, but she wasn't. This didn't feel good. She had been dreading the anger in the scene her parents' arrival would bring, but this, she didn't know how to feel about this. No, that wasn't exactly the truth. She knew how she felt. She felt ignored. Well, I suppose there's nothing keeping me here. She picked up her bags and placed her hand on the doorknob. She turned back to her roommate. You will keep in touch, won't you, Marilyn? Oh, well, of course, she stammered. She smiled stiffly at Sarah. Sarah had never seen such a terrible attempt at a lie. She opened the door and didn't look back. Okay, I don't think I'm going to use that because I don't want to show her traveling, whatever. I think I'm just going to show her showing up back at home. So here's what I started writing next. Sarah stepped through the door of the little parsonage of Lansing First Church and sat her bags next to the entry table. Not only had her parents not picked her up from school, they hadn't bothered to pick her up from the train station either. She removed her crochet hat and looked around, wondering what to do next. Should she call out, say that she was home? That seemed odd and unnecessary since it was apparent that nobody cared about her presence. Maybe she could just hide out in her room for a day or so. After that, she wasn't certain. None of this was going as she had imagined. She picked her bags up once again and moved quietly toward the stairs. We're in here, her mother's soft voice called from the parlor. Sarah once again deposited the bags and hesitantly moved toward the parlor, expecting to find her mother alone, probably reading in her chair. But, as had been the case for the past 48 hours, Sarah was mistaken. Not only was her mother not alone, she was joined by not only Sarah's father, Reverend Albright, but also her sister Esther and brother-in-law John. She stood in the sitting room entrance, silently staring at them for a few moments. No one said a word. Only Esther met her gaze. I see you made it home safely, Esther said. Yes, I have, Sarah squared her shoulders. No thanks to any of you. She braced herself for the coming angry retort, but there was none. She looked at her father. He sat lightly strumming his fingers on the arm of the weathered leather chair, staring at nothing in particular on the floor. Her mother sat in a similar fashion, but her fingers played with a hanky in her lap instead. Neither of them, however, spoke. It was John who finally broke the silence. Have a seat, Sarah. I've sat long enough. It's a long trip. I'd rather go to my room. We need to talk, John said, motioning to the empty seat on the settee next to her sister. Sarah didn't feel like being compliant, but if she were to be honest, she didn't feel like holing up and away in her bedroom alone either. She took the seat next to Esther. John leaned forward and rested his elbows on his knees. We've all been discussing you and what to do. 3, 2, 1.
Mm.
No, sorry. No, sorry. One more paragraph. It's on the next page. Hold on.
All right.
What do you mean, what to do? And we've done a lot of praying as a family. We'd appreciate it if you would listen first. Then, when I finished, you can speak. Well, whatever you have to say, you better get on with it. I'm tired. John ignored her outburst. After much prayer and discussion, your parents have decided that it would be best if 3, 2, 1.
That's worse.
That's worse.
I'll just give you a little bit of insight because I'm not going to share. I'll probably share something totally different by next Thursday. But her parents have decided they're kicking her out. So what will happen to Sarah?
Why did Reverend Albright let John speak up first?
I think that, and you guys have read about Reverend Albright, I think that he is just beyond words. I think he's so hurt. I think he's just confused. I think that he just doesn't know what to do with this kid. And I'm letting John. Huh?
She is sassy.
Yeah, well, he is. And I think that
she
is. Oh, yeah. And so I think that in this case, like this is going to catch her off guard. Like she was expecting yelling. She was expecting to get in trouble. And all she's met with is we're done. And that's going to rock her world more than yelling will.
I want to advocate for keeping the school scene and maybe even making it a little longer because I really think I need that to feel sympathetic to her because I feel if we go straight from her conniving to get kicked out to being snotty to her parents, it's going to feel a little too much like she's just a brat instead of understanding that she's feeling ignored. Because that was really telling when she and then also with the one girl being kind of offstanding to her, you kind of have to infer that it's because now she's kind of scandalized, right? And if you could elaborate on that scene a little more, I don't want you to come right out and say it, but if there's a certain turn on the campus toward her, right? Like, I mean, I think I think that would really help to heap consequence upon her that she wasn't thinking about. But that's just my opinion.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
think it's a great point.
Yeah, as you were reading it, I was thinking that I wanted you to keep that scene because what you were saying in the next scene was more meaningful because I had heard the first one.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Where was Phoebe?
Phoebe is in the UP, living at large with Will. Their story's already done.
Kissing scene.
Kissing scene.
Oh, my word.
For those who are tuning in, Phoebe's story is book 3, and this is book 4 that I'm writing. So, yeah.
Awesome.
All right, that's great feedback. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that.
Well, good work, everybody. Don't stop writing. It's first day of November, and we've got a really good head start now on our writing. So after you've gotten some good rest, get up and eat and caffeinate or whatever, and get out the rest of your words today.
Yeah.
Can we count these for November 1st?
Yes. It is November
that's the whole
1st
point.
now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why we did the writing at midnight, so we could say on November 1st, I've already got 800 words or whatever.
400.
Hey, still 400 more than you had an hour ago.
That's true.
And they're really, really good words.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. All right, ladies. Thanks a bunch.
Yep.
Signing off for now.
Get some sleep, Jennifer.
What?
Go get some sleep.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I have physical therapy at 7:30 in the morning tomorrow too.
Oh no.
I must hate myself for making that appointment.
Or you will.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.